Welcome to The Curve Weekly, the podcast that keeps you up to date with all of the money, business and stock market tea.
Brought to you by the Curve's research team. It's the latest insights on what's happening in the stock market, companies, other money-related news so that you can stay educated and ahead of the curve.
You can thank us later for sounding smarter than those finance bros at your next dinner party.
Do you like my ad for New Zealand? The backdrop?
Yeah, it looks absolutely beautiful.
It is so beautiful. I'm like north of the Bay of Islands, like north New Zealand. And it is, honestly, I walked down to the water before. It's like national bush everywhere, like cicadas absolutely screaming. Like it's so beautiful.
Cicadas screaming?
You know, like they're so loud. You probably can hear them in the background. I've tried to close like all the doors and windows and it's still so loud. And I was just like, why do we do it? Why do we get on the tube? Why do we go to big cities? Like the best place to live is in nature. It is so stunning here.
No, that's true.
Like, do you think we'd get bored? I'm like, why do we wait till we're retiring to go and move to somewhere beautiful like this?
Well, we're lucky that we now have the technology and the capabilities that we can record a podcast from wherever.
True. It was touch and go with the internet, I will admit.
I know it's so funny when you think, oh, I just need to record a podcast. It's fine when you're away. Like I'm down south and...
Where are you? You're also doing an ad for New Zealand. Come on, give Geraldine a plug.
I'm in Geraldine, which is an hour and a half-ish out of Christchurch.
Would we call it the armpit of New Zealand?
No.
I've never been. I don't know.
No, neither. It's actually beautiful. Well, we arrived really late last night, so it was pitch black and haven't left the house this morning. So haven't seen much of Geraldine, to be honest. But
okay.
Yeah, no, it is beautiful. You know, just coming back to my roots, my Christchurch
That is
roots.
not your roots. This is so far from your roots.
I know when we landed, I was like, oh, this is where, and I was like, oh no, got that wrong. Oh, this is, no. So yeah, 4 years of my life I spent in the South Island, but yeah.
God, New Zealand's amazing. I was the same though. Yesterday driving here, there was this little town called Kawakawa. And they're famous for the toilets. You know, those really beautiful toilets that are all like mosaic tiles and stuff.
Oh,
if anyone's not a New Zealander listening to this, they're going to be like, they have famous toilets. What the hell?
Yeah. Wow, get a life. Yeah.
But there was like a train carriage situation. And I was like, oh, I've been here before. I remember I met my friend Tess here. We hung out in the train. I was like, no, that was the South Island. Like my sense of direction is unreal. I was like, I've been here before. Yeah, I've been here. I was like, no, you haven't.
Yeah. Well, mine was more like, I've been to this McDonald's. I was like, oh no, just a lot of other McDonald's. Speaking of, going back to my roots.
Oh no.
My mum the other day sent me, and I thought it was quite appropriate considering we're still pretty early in the year. She sent me some New Year's resolutions of mine that she found. And
wait, from what year? How old were you?
I must have been 14. There was a few goodies in there. Number 3, save at least $200.
Go, Vic. That is great.
I know.
That also is like basically $1,000 given inflation over the past like 15 years, you know?
Yeah. Get a part-time job. It's pretty good for a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
And number 6 is the best. Make posture better. Still working on that 20 years later.
I don't reckon you've got bad posture. Holy shit, was that 20 years ago? Whoa.
I know.
The fact your mum has that is so cute.
She keeps a lot of things. Sometimes I wish she didn't.
I love Eileen. She's so, do you know what? Even the other day we were having a meeting with one of the like big financial kind of institutions in New Zealand, and we were talking about, because there's obviously so many different online trading platforms, and one of them is like pretty complex. Even now I would still be like, absolutely get me off this. Like it's so hard to follow. And Vic's like, yeah, my mum, I remember she tried to get me on this, probably about 15. I was like, she just sat you down and was trying to get you to look at the markets, like an online trading platform before you're even 18.
No, she enrolled me in like a learn how to trade class. And you would go along like an after school program. And I went along and I sat in this room. I vividly remember. And it was like simulation because we were obviously so young, like we weren't actually trading money. But I'm surprised it didn't put me off completely because it was so overwhelming. I was like such a fish out of water. I was like the only girl there, and it was just the way they were teaching was horrific. And yeah, anyway, bless her. She had the best intentions. Yeah.
Honestly, I think all credit to Eileen for the curve. Like the curve would not exist if it wasn't for Eileen. She doesn't get nearly enough credit.
No, she doesn't.
We've got quite a full stacked, amount of things to get through. And I'm actually really excited. There's a lot of interesting things happening in the world at the moment.
Yes.
The first one I'm not super stoked to talk about, but we really do because it's having a huge impact on markets and like people and everything. TRUMP, the name that must not be named. It's like Voldemort.
What does it be seen and not heard? Well, he's definitely been seen and heard. He is making himself very heard. So he has been officially sworn in as the new president. And what he has put in place already in the first 24 hours that he was in power, he has done a federal hiring freeze. Now, what that means is no new employees at a federal government level. So no one is being hired. So that kind of means like no growth, essentially. So if you were in a department and you needed, say, some nurses because there was an increase in demand from sick people in hospital, too bad. If you needed increase in any government agency or department at a federal level, so a national level, then no, you can't do that.
Why is that? Like, what's his reason behind it?
The federal government employs 3 million people in the United States. So it's the US's biggest employer. And then Walmart is the next one at about 1.6 million. Which I'm just like, imagine having 1.6 million employees. Anyway.
At Walmart, good God.
It's to cut costs.
And how is this going to affect people? Why is it a problem? Is it kind of fine? Like,
yeah. Well, so there's another kind of flow on from that is that he's ordered all government workers to come back to the office 5 days a week. So his reasoning is that this is kind of the narrative we've heard the last couple of years post-COVID is that people are more productive when they're in the office. You can get more out of them. They're more efficient, all of that. But what the flip side to that is that we know that this disproportionately impacts women far, far greater. So, and we all know his stance on women in general or his policies that haven't been very favourable to women. So here's another one.
Sorry, can I just say on that, I think it is total bollocks to think that people are more productive in the workplace. Like yesterday, you even said to me, you and Tom at work, we're like, oh, thank God Sophie and Danny aren't here. It's like, it's so true. It's true. And
I don't want that to be like that was not from a bad place. It was literally just from
I am not offended. I'm not offended.
Yeah.
I was at home thinking, thank God I'm not in the office and I can't be distracted and I can do the stuff I need to do. Because as soon as you're in like a collaborative environment, people ask questions and want to talk and collaborate, which is great.
Yeah.
But like you often don't get through your to-do list. Like it's productive in a way, but like I think that just as a blanket rule to be in the office 5 days a week, it's just so closed-minded and archaic.
Yeah. Like I remember Little Vic in my old jobs and the number of times I would go up to my boss and be like, hi, how do I do this? Or, hey, can I get you to check? And honestly, I almost want to apologize to him. I hope he's listening because I don't know how he got any work done with me around, honestly. And that was before work from home was a thing.
Yeah, but hearing you say that's making me think if that helps more junior staff figure out how to be better at their job, then it's super valuable to be around your managers or people you work with because you would have massively grown and become way more valuable to the company by being able to ask those questions. So I just think it's a balance. I think just making it such a black and white statement is just stupid. Anyway, we can move on.
100%. It's like do 3 days and then when you're planning your week that 3 days is going to be really collaborative. So I will leave my work that needs
deep work
collaboration for those days. Yeah, and then they deep work the other days. I think enforcing 3 million people in the United States to work 5 days a week when we've adjusted to this more flexible working conditions is disproportionately going to impact women.
I also would love to know what the stats are on like how many men and women are in that 3 million. Like what is the proportion? Because if it's 2 million women, it's like, nice. Yeah. Thanks, Trump. Anyway.
Well, the 5-day work week was also set up for men that had support at home. Anyway, he's also moved to end birthright citizenship. So that just puts so many immigrants at risk of being deported. And I watched a really powerful message from from the church essentially to Donald Trump. It was an address to him. And some people probably have seen this. It's been shared around social media quite a bit. Yeah, and it was just a really powerful video around just being nice to people. You know, there's a lot of people whose lives are now at risk, whether it's immigrants, whether it's the LGBT community, from what he said. Like it's just be nice.
Come together rather than create more segregation.
And that's honestly what I hate about all of this politics right now, is that it's so dividing. I know you have to do that sometimes. You have to be extreme to get votes and get people on board and it almost instill almost like a scaremongering, or it's just which sucks. But I'm just like, these are real people's lives that you're impacting.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that video that you're talking about, but the premise really is that immigrants are contributing largely to the economy and society in like a really positive way. There's such hardworking people. I think that the conversation we had with Nina Mohanty, which was our episode of Raising the Curve last week, if you haven't listened to it, like really recommend going back and listening, because the way that she spoke, her parents were both immigrants to the US, and they've started and really created super successful businesses. But the way she spoke about immigrants in general, particularly economic immigrants, and it just gave this really beautiful and different perspective on that. And like for people that are not in the States, understanding what's going on or what that looks like, it's quite different in New Zealand and Australia. So go back and listen to that episode. But really the message is just be kind to people and appreciate the value that people are bringing regardless of where they were born and where they're now living.
And a lot of these massive tech companies were founded by immigrants. Like there is a lot of value that's being created for the US economy by immigrants. And I think, anyway, I mean, we could talk for hours on this.
I mean, like even Jeff Bezos and like Steve Jobs, etc., like are either immigrants or have parents that are immigrants. And I wonder how some of those people who have been very successful immigrants in the US are feeling about this. Because even if they're sort of more Trump supporters, surely that particular policy would be really difficult for anyone that's even supporting him.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Bezos is standing next to him, supporting him, which I don't know, it's kind of scary, all the power and control in his inauguration that was standing next to him, whether it be Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, there were Mark Zuckerberg. There was a lot of people there with a lot of power, and it does give me the feeling of oligarchs in Russia and power. Yeah. Oh, it's a scary, scary world right now. Anyway, there's a few other things before we move on. He's also already taken steps to withdraw from major international climate accords. So this is, we knew this was one of his policies, drill, baby, drill. He wants to put money and resources into oil and gas companies, not companies that are having a positive impact on the climate. So we'll probably see more of that play out, unfortunately. And lastly, he's also called for an end of these government-backed diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Now, this is something we haven't really touched on, but a lot of companies are pulling back on these policies. So we've had Meta, Amazon, Boeing, Ford, McDonald's, Walmart, massive, massive, massive companies, because the government isn't backing these diversity, equity, and inclusion policies anymore. All these companies are like, well, we're not going to do it either. So this is all about having certain thresholds and I guess policies in place to support diversity in the workplace. Now, because this hasn't been a push from government, it's actually a reversal by government. All these companies are like, okay, well, now we don't have to do it. We're not going to do it. And there is big campaigners out there. There's anti-DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion campaigners that are pretty much saying that it doesn't actually add value to an economy or a business. Or companies, for example.
How the hell have we got back here? I just don't.
I know.
It's so embarrassing. And honestly, if it's just, I don't know, I have conversations with, I hate to say it, like boomers. Sorry, any boomers that are listening that's offensive to, but it is unbelievable how ignorant so many adults are in this world. And honestly, if we had power with a younger generation, we would see a much better world. It's just, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, like, even I was having a conversation with this man the other day who was talking about how minority voices are just, too loud these days. They're being too heard. It's overwhelming. In fact, the majority aren't being heard. And I was just like, do you really believe that? Like, where have you got that from? Because it is so far from the truth. And it's so hard because when these changes happen at a policy or governmental level, I don't know, it's really the top piece, right? So like pulling that funding and meaning that people aren't.
It filters down. It trickles down. Yeah.
But what I don't understand, Vic, is like why all of a sudden are people not doing it? Because don't people just generally believe that that's important? Or was it only happening because there was money flowing into it?
There's probably a combination of both. So there is definitely companies and people and leaders that would stand by that and definitely see value in diversity. But then there's other ones that would be also feeling probably political pressure. So stepping away from that, even those companies that I read out, Amazon, Meta, they're in bed with Donald Trump right now. So there is a case of if you can't beat him, join him. And I kind of see that's kind of playing out at the moment, is that Trump is very irrational and influential. So therefore, if you're on his side, you'll benefit. If you're not, you won't.
It's like you're better the devil you know than the devil you don't, kind of.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's kind of with Elon Musk. He was like, if I can get with him and make sure that there's policies that he's putting in that are actually positive for Tesla in the long run and all of that, it's like everyone has their own personal agendas in this.
Surely Elon Musk's transgender child is absolutely disowning him. There's no way, if all of your community are being completely trampled on and your dad is standing next to that person, like, you would never have a relationship with.
Yeah. Well, imagine probably the hate that they're getting as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like we should move on because there's some other really big news, which is kind of Trump related, which is TikTok. So I don't know if you saw Soph, but was it Saturday our time?
Last week.
Yeah, last Saturday. There was so many TikTokers kind of making these confessions. They're like, look, this is the last day on TikTok. I'm going to confess to you, I cheated or something. And it might have been, like a really high profile couple or something. It's like, I'm going to give it to you. He did it. And it was quite funny. They're obviously just like having a yarn, but it'd be like Molly May and Tommy Fury and him coming out and being like, yeah, I did cheat. Like it was like kind of people like that. It was quite funny.
Admissions of guilt because they were like, well, we may as well go out with a bang.
Yeah. And then there was others that were like crying. They've been on TikTok for 10 years, showed like every day of their lives. It was quite sad. Anyway, it shut down for 12 hours and it's now back up. So it was all
if
for
anything,
nothing,
I
really.
think the PR and the amount of content and the amount of people that would have flocked to it for that time, it's probably done them a world of good.
Well, just diversify. I think this is a really good lesson about not just diversifying platforms, diversify your revenue streams. If you're earning all your revenue from TikTok as a family by doing dances.
Oh my God, imagine if it was being shut down and that's your entire livelihood.
100%. Like we're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
Yeah, we're absolutely getting across all the platforms, aren't we?
Just platforming out, yeah. But anyway, the platform's future is very much still in doubt. It hasn't been saved, in quotation. It's been given a bit of a reprieve. So yes, Trump has signed an order that has reversed the ban, but it's only given it temporary relief. So in order to save TikTok in the US, there is still the discussion that it needs to be owned not by China and by a US entity or owner. So Trump has put forward, surprise, surprise, Elon Musk to own TikTok alongside the US government. And China is like, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
But like, this is the scary thing. It's kind of, he's probably one of the billionaires, there's a very few billionaires that would have the money to buy it.
Oh my God.
And I was sitting here and I was like, well, what if they owned it? If they owned the US part, but they didn't own the entire company, which is ByteDance, which is a Chinese company. And someone said it really well. And they were like, it would be any sale of TikTok, the US arm of TikTok, would be like buying Coca-Cola, but they get to keep the secret recipe. So you have no idea what's in the Coke, but you just get the rights to promote Coke in your country. So the secret ingredient here is the algorithm of TikTok. So you're paying for the name, but that's really all you're getting is the TikTok name. You're not getting access to
the back end or any of how they work.
Yeah. So it'd be really, really hard to grow that or
make any changes or like even kill it if you're wanting to.
Yeah. Everyone's like, no matter what happens here, the user experience is going to be absolute dog tucker.
Dog tucker? Never heard you say that. So if they owned just the US part, it would be almost purely a transaction and they'd be getting the money from it, and they'd probably have a bit of control over the type of content that's going out, but then they don't have the recipe.
No, they don't have the recipe. They don't have the algorithm to update it. They don't have all of that kind of stuff. So
why bother then? I don't get it.
I know.
Are they just trying to turn it to shit? Like, are they wanting it to plummet?
So essentially, it's because the reason that the whole conversation started was that it's a case of national security. The US has essentially said that TikTok is spying on US citizens. And that's kind of
and like X and Instagram and Facebook and Meta and all the other platforms are not?
No, but that they're in the US. This is the fact that it's going back to China. And you know that China and the US hate each other. So it's like, anyway, I think what Trump did here by saving the day with TikTok now puts him in a bit of a position of power, of more influence, that he has now probably got a lot of younger supporters on side because they're like, yay, Trump saved TikTok. But he hasn't actually saved it. He's kind of given it temporary relief. But anyway, this is going to play out for much, much longer. China is not happy with a Tesla US government buyer. So I think this could play out for much, much longer. And
sorry, but like imagine if someone was trying to buy the Curve, that we didn't want to own the Curve, and you were being forced to sell, and you'd spent 10 years building this like billion-dollar company, trillion-dollar company. Of course you'd be annoyed. You'd be like, absolutely go away. Yes. Like this isn't, you don't have a say over this. But is the main like carrot dangle or problem with them saying no is that Trump's just going to retaliate and make it even hard? Like what's worst case scenario for ByteDance?
Worst case scenario is they literally can't operate in America and they lose 170 million users on their platform.
Right, that's quite massive.
Yeah. The alternative is, hey, you sell it, you still get to operate in the US, but you don't have full control, is essentially in a high level.
Oh my God, it is such a ridiculous situation. Do you know what it's starting to feel like? I was just going to say, you know, how much control in like North Korea, for example, or China even having real restrictions on what people can access online and that kind of thing. I mean, it's so ironic because it's going against the whole free speech that America stands for, and that Elon Musk is trying to like push with X, and it's doing the total opposite to that and trying to congregate and control. I don't know, it's really scary. It's so dictatorship.
Well, that's why it's been so much back and forth on this, is because people are like, it's national security, others are like, it's freedom of speech. And so the government, yes, it has to promote freedom of speech, but it also has to protect the nation. So that's why it's been such a big back and forth. But honestly, I think this is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of the US-China relations, really. If they come down hard on ByteDance, then China will retaliate. I mean, Trump's already put in extra tariffs of 10% on China, so that's a big FU. And then China's going to be like, well, if you do that, we're going to put tariffs on you. You know, it's just like so much tit for tat. And at the end of the day, with things like this, we end up paying them. You know, this is, yes, you might read these headlines and go, oh, tariffs this, tariff that, or like, oh, tensions, oh, they're going to stop us doing that or allow us to. It's like, at the end of the day, this impacts us. So it's like, put your
tiny pricks away.
Tiny, and sit down and have a cup of tea and talk like actual humans.
Oh, God. Amen to that.
Yeah. Anyway, also, positive news. Another US company, Netflix, has put out another incredible result. Sorry, so is this a bit of salt in the wound?
Yes. Every time I hear this, it's salt in the wound. I just don't know at what point I buy it back, because it's like, I just think it is going to continue to go up and up and up. But if that's the truth, then like I should just buy now, but I just can't bring myself to when it's like 5 times more than when I sold it.
I know. It is. That was the hardest thing. I remember when I was a portfolio manager, it was like if you sold something at like $10 and then it continued to do well and then it's like $15 and you're like, well, no, I'm not buying it until I can get it cheaper for what I sold it for. Yeah. And then it might go up to $20, $30, $40 and you're like, damn it. But it's getting over that bias. It's kind of like, yeah, that seller's remorse or whatever you want to call it. But I genuinely think, I just think Netflix is such a great model. It added 19 million subscribers in 3 months, the 3 months to the end of December.
Like, how the hell are there that many people that they haven't even, I'm like 19 million in 12 weeks? Like,
I reckon
what?
If I went and asked every single person I know, I probably would struggle to find one person that doesn't have Netflix.
Like, where are they advertising? Like, how is this happening?
So this was the company's best ever quarter, and it's now crossed this 300 million paid members. So 300 million people have Netflix, which I'm just like, wow.
I also get it though.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
They have increased their prices though, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I wonder if people are starting to feel like, okay, now you're taking the piss, because the more expensive it gets, they really do need to be keeping up with what they're offering that's worth that much. I don't know. It's just interesting what's the difference in the amount they've added versus like churn?
This is net. So this is including churn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's net very positive.
Very, very fucking. But the key thing for this, yes, you're right. They've increased prices, and I'll get to that in a second. But this is all because of their foray into live sports. So this just opened up a whole nother world for them. So they started with other people's content. They then went into their own content. They then went into games. They've now gone into live sports. Like when you've got 300 million eyeballs, well, probably 600 million eyeballs, because everyone's got 2.
Thank you for explaining.
That's a lot of households you're getting to and feeding into. It's like that captive audience is just absolute gold.
I wonder what they'll go into next, like if they do adult entertainment or anything. Like there's so many other like places they could go.
Totally. And also the big reason for this as well, the big step up in subscriber growth that we've kind of seen play out over the last 12, 18 months is the crackdown on password sharing. So me and you could have one Netflix between us and share our password. They've cracked down on that. So now me and you have to have separate accounts, which really boosts.
It's so annoying. I'm on my dad's account still, like a 12-year-old. And whenever I log in, it's like, hi, you need to get your code sent to the email. And it's like, Mike Allwright's Gmail account. I'm like, no, damn it.
But yes, you're right. They've increased the price. So they've got different standards, different tiers of their packages now. Some include ads, some don't. But if we just look at their standard package, that's gone from $9.99 to $17.49 now. And that's kind of $1.50 increases every couple of years. But
do you think, do they have to legally disclose when they're increasing their prices? Like, is that the kind of thing that, so people are like, do you accept this price increase? It's not like a subtle, all of a sudden you're paying more.
No, it's not an do you accept? It's like, hey, we're increasing the prices. This will be reflected in your next payment.
And you can cancel if you want to.
So that's a point that you can cancel. Yeah. But I don't know, if they said to me, I'm increasing it by $1, I'd be like, I still watch it every now and then, if they said they're increasing it $10, I'd be like, oh, so you do it in little increments so that it doesn't kind of hurt as much. But also, I've just said they've had their best quarter ever, and they also announced another price increase. And Warren Buffett has said, if you've got the power to raise prices without losing business to a competitor, you've got a very, very good business. And this is exactly what we're seeing in Netflix. So Netflix is hands down a Warren Buffett style business, because you have control of your customer if you can increase prices and they stay with you. That is the business you want to be in. And we've seen that in the share price. Netflix is up, Disney's down. Simple as that. We've got 3 more quick headlines. So stick with us. The best is yet to come. No jokes.
Very good selling. Well done, Vic. No one put her in charge of writing teasers.
Yeah. I'll give you a really good joke at the end of this podcast.
Stick with us.
On the luxury side of things, we're seeing champagne shipments actually drop significantly. So this is the second year that champagne shipments have dropped. And we've spoken broadly about this whole luxury sector really seeing a slowdown. Like we've seen it with a lot of the luxury names like LVMH, so Louis Vuitton, Moët Hennessy. We've seen it with Kering, which owns Gucci, Hermes. There's a lot of these luxury names that are struggling because people are cutting back on spending. And one of those is in the champagne industry. So shipments are now kind of back to their lowest level since 2001, COVID aside, because COVID, we were on lockdown. We weren't really celebrating a whole hell of a lot. But yeah, it just plays into this whole luxury slowdown that we're seeing.
Do you think that's what do we take from that? What's the insight here? Are we thinking that overarching, like a lot of big luxury brands are going to be like finding it really tough? And what does that kind of mean?
So yes, we are seeing a big slowdown in the luxury side of things. And what this would mean is like a lot of them are great businesses, but there are periods of time when they don't do well. So if you own these businesses, I wouldn't panic, but you have to take that long-term view because there is going to be periods of time when people aren't spending on luxurious things like champagne, and therefore that's going to impact their revenue, their share prices. But if you still believe in the business, then hold on. If you're like, you know what, I actually want to put my money elsewhere. I think this luxury theme is going to play out for a lot longer.
I thought though with problems in the economy or people struggling financially, luxury brands generally don't get hit. Like I'm sure we've spoken before about, in the biggest recessions ever, Ferrari wait lists for, really expensive cars and whatnot there's still always demand for it. So why in this situation are we thinking it might be different? Should we do a bit of research on that? That would be really interesting to do in the Investing Club actually, Vic. I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah. I think the one thing from this that kind of concerns me is that shipments are down to their lowest level since 2001. That's 23 years ago.
Oh shit, I thought you meant 2011 or 2021. I didn't quite register.
Yeah, that kind of shows me that this might be a bit more of a structural thing, if that makes sense. So like it's not, cycles tend to go a couple years, 5 or 10 years. Like this we're going back to levels we haven't seen since 2001, which makes me think maybe this is a function of also there is other alcoholic products that people are enjoying right now, or people aren't drinking, or there is a bit more at play. So I would this would be something that I would watch a bit more closely. I probably wouldn't react right now, but it's more something to be aware of. And you're probably seeing this play out with your friends. You're sitting down ordering a cocktail, you're probably not ordering the most expensive one or the most expensive bottle of champagne or wine. You're probably like, you know what? I just want to be a bit conscious of the fact that everyone's feeling a bit of the pinch right now. And so, maybe we go for a cheaper bottle of wine or a Prosecco or like something that's not top of the range.
Vic, I wonder if we put a pin in this conversation because I would really like to go into, you mentioned the structural growth industry and maybe it's a change in behavior that's a bit, on a bigger scale. I think that would be a really good lesson and example to go into on the Investing Club in more detail, because I think that there's a lot we could talk about there. We probably don't have time right now. But if anyone is wondering, we'll put the link to the Investing Club in the podcast show notes. But we do go into much more detail on investing ideas and learnings. It's like, it's kind of like this podcast, but on crack in a legal way.
Two other quick things. New Zealand inflation. So inflation is 2.2% now in New Zealand, which is great. Remember, we want to be in that 2 to 3% range. So we've been really high. We've come back down, which is really, really good. And then lastly, Puma. Puma? Do you say Puma or Puma?
I'm pretty sure it's Puma.
Puma.
I always used to say Puma, but I'm pretty sure it's Puma.
Puma.
No, it sounds American to me.
Puma. Yeah. Anyway, this is a German company. Not American. Yeah, it's just been really, really struggling. It's missed its estimates for fourth quarter. So companies always put out kind of what they think the quarter revenue or profitability will be. They've missed that. So investors aren't happy. Share price is down 50% over the last 5 years. So if you'd had shares in Puma, you would not be a happy camper.
I reckon you see that everywhere though. No one's really wearing Puma. It's not. I don't feel like it's a super popping off brand.
Particularly with Adidas, the Adidas Sambas, all of that. It's just been really, really a real struggle for them. So I don't know for this company if other footwear companies see value in Puma, in the Puma brand, they could be looking to purchase it now, because when companies are on their knees like this, the sharks start circling. And that was all from me.
I loved that, Vic. Thank you for making me feel so smart and onto it.
No worries. My brain kind of hurts.
No, you did a good job. We went through a lot just then. There was lots.
It was a lot of intense conversations.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any financial flexes or financial faux pas for the week that you could share? I've got a really bad one. I think I need to wait and share this at another time though. When we're doing a bunch of property content coming up. I think that might be. I might save that. But I've had an absolute faux pas this week with regards to trying to get a mortgage. Oh my effing God.
Oh no, what happened? Can you just tell me?
Look, all I'll say is check your credit scores. Check to make sure you don't owe money without realizing it, because it is so annoying when you've moved house heaps. Like I've moved so much. And so they obviously can't contact me. So I have no idea if I owe money to anyone. Like I've never.
I'm also like, who is still sending a bloody letter?
That's what I mean.
What electricity company is sending a letter? Like,
I'm sorry. This is exactly what it was. It was an electricity company. And I was just like, guys, get digital. Like, how are you trying to send something to an address from 2021? And like, oh, of course I'm not getting it. Sorry. But like, and I'm not trying to put the blame on other people, but I mean, honestly, there needs to be some kind of tech that congregate so that you can go in and see if you owe money, because
if only there was like a digital letterbox that they could send things to.
Oh, that's a good idea. Like maybe an email inbox.
An email or an inbox. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Honestly.
Wild.
Oh, you poor thing. Okay. Well, looking forward. Well, not really, but yeah.
No, I think I'm feeling positive. I'm pushing through. Also, Vic, I know that we've already said this on socials, but our Investing Club launch party, which is in like a week, is sold out, which is so exciting. So there's lots of updates that we'll share with everyone once we've made them and you can join and blah, blah, blah. But some very exciting things to come for the Investing Club. And, you know, we're really proud and really excited. And once we can stop being so vague and actually tell you, we will, probably next week.
Yes. Very exciting.
Okay, enjoy Geraldine.
No, you enjoy Northland.
Thank you so much for listening to The Curve Weekly. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all the money, biz and stock market news. And if you like what you heard, we would love a review. Thank you.
Yes, we would love a review. But if you did hate it, please, don't leave one if you hate it. No, but in all seriousness, could you please leave a review? Because it really helps other people find our cute little podcast.
And we hope you have a good week and see you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye. Sweet. Yeah. See you next Tuesday. Lol. See you next Tuesday. I mean Monday.
No, actually though, new episodes out every Tuesday. Okay, quickly. The Curve was created to empower and educate you about investing, but we are not financial advisors.
Our platform exists for educational purposes only, and it doesn't provide personalized investing advice for your individual needs and should not be relied upon to make an investment or financial decision.
And always remember to do your own research before making any investment or financial decision.
We're here for any knowledge and support you need, but the final call is always yours.
And thanks for being here.
You got this.
Yeah, we know you got this.